So I remember about a year ago, I made a whole video talking about AI art and how, it kind of is and stuff. And I remember looking at the comments of it and seeing a lot of people do not necessarily like AI in any shape and form, and I don't necessarily blame them. I feel like I feel like if you use AI and like straight up as like your art and you like, yep, that's me, that's my full work, that's all I have, when realistically all you did was just, I don't know, put text into a machine or something like that, you kind of a bitch. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. Especially if you someone that's like, selling it and then calling that like your real art and you're selling that stuff and that's just how it is, like a Patreon or something like that. I'm not gonna lie, that's really lazy and kind of sad. If I'm gonna be honest, like I get it. We're in a day and age where AI is basically something that's just not gonna go away. The moment you put it in front of other human beings and put it into the public, you're basically kind of chopped and screwed, right? That's just how it is. Now you're basically just looking like you're running amok of the damn place, like you're in a trying to meet the great Runus. That is just how it is, right? But also at the same time, I'm not very stupid to see that, yeah, it's gonna be around for basically ever until there's something else that might happen to it or something like that, which I doubt will be the case. AI is basically here to stay. And the one thing I will definitely tell you as a artist my damn self, and to any other artist that might be watching this video, is definitely keep drawing, keep going after your craft and do what you do, because the last thing I want to see is any artist give up. And I've seen some people say they gave up on drawing stuff in some videos I've done talking about certain aspects of drawing and things like that, and it makes me sad. Realistically, it genuinely just does, because I believe there is a lot of people that really draw really good, that has the talent and the innate ability to do so, of making a fantastic ass picture offer or fantastic animation, only for it to get screwed over because an AI did it better, and that discourages other people. And I hope you don't get discouraged, or anybody else gets discouraged from this sort of stuff too, because ultimately drawing is something that I very much like to do when I do get the chance and I do have the time. It's something that very much I think it's way more valuable than anything a computer can absolutely generate. Yes, a computer can generate a very good image, and it could be a very good time with it, but ultimately it doesn't have the soul of the human behind it. It doesn't have the absolute way of feel of how a picture actually is via actually drawn by human hands than a computer, right? Let's just keep it very much a say. I would not want to sit here and enjoy an artwork by a computer's hands, and if that's all you have to give me, right, I just couldn't do that. I would very much rather like to see what an artist can actually do by human hands, by human intellect and mind, to see what they actually can come up with, right? That's why stuff like artist appreciation exists. It's not meant for things like AI and AI artists as well. It's mainly just for people that just straight up to the bones, absolutely draw what they can cook, and they can absolutely cook it well, and then showcase their ability for other people to see. And even if you're someone small or even if you're someone big, that's the whole point. I like to showcase actual talent and actual skill of what you can possibly have with what you be able to throw down with, right? It doesn't necessarily matter what it is, as long as you can actually draw with pencil and paper and you know how to throw it down, then that's what matters to me. That's again why something like artist appreciation exists for the most part, because I want to see what cool artist is actually out there and what real talent really looks like. Anybody could text up a whole piece of generated prompt into a computer and make a good image. Yeah, the image is going to come out good. Yeah, the image is going to look really nice, but that's not the true aspect of what an artist can really put down when it comes down to it, right? There is still things AI cannot replicate, and that's a good thing, because it still shows you that there is still worth and value within actual artists that can legitimately draw. And even though sometimes AI will definitely steal style from other people, like I've seen it happen with D-Art's work, I've seen it happen with, I believe Devil's Tokyo had an artwork kind of put into AI, at least I believe, if I remember correctly. I've seen a fair amount of it, and to keep it very much a stack, even though yes they come out well, yes the style is very much captured in that work, it's not truly what makes the work look good. Like when it comes to D art is just the king of shaking cake with any of like the artwork they throw out. And to keep it very much a stack, they're not gonna keep that same energy when it comes to be translated to computer, right? If I'm gonna be absolutely honest, it's not gonna keep that same energy. Like I can very much enjoy someone like Divine Wine drawing a pan with the most cheeked up ass cheeks you ever seen, and then AI might do it, but it's not gonna necessarily hit the same as Divine Wine could, right? And that's just how it is. And especially we have like the cool art styles that comes through. Like there's more of a real essence of it being there than it is when it comes down to like, you know, what another computer can do, right? Because very much Devil Tokyo, someone like him, is very much good at what they do when they do draw. And then ultimately you try to shuck that into AI, it doesn't really feel the same. And that's kind of the thing. You don't get the same vibes. You don't get the same feeling, right? Anybody can generate a picture of Konako with a fat ass and it looks amazing, right? But at the very same time, can it be on the same level of what Junior did with that art trade we had like some months ago? That joke is still beautiful. It is still, and personally, one of my favorite fan art pieces that I ever received ever, if I'm gonna be honest. So to keep it very much a stack, it's not necessarily something that, you know, can be replicated to the truest essence of the matter. You know, there will always be that, you know, percentage of, I guess, like lack of really human essence of it being there that real artworks can actually produce than what computer can do. And that's again why something like arts appreciation exists. I came here to find genuine, real deal talent, raw dog talent, meat eating talent, then what's by a computer screen, because anybody can do it. Again, there is plenty of people that has made Patreons just solely dedicated of just AI content, and I don't really personally like that, because it's just people that come through that is just simply, yo, I wrote text into a prompt, now please buy my shit, when ultimately you could do the same damn thing if that's what you want to, right? And in a more personal note, I don't really feel bad for people that, you know, make Patreons like that and then, you know, their stuff kind of get posted all over the place, or, you know, kind of just be used for whatever other thing, because at the end of the day, it's not really something that's like hard to replicate or it's hard to do or anything like that. Versus if it was an actual artist that was drawing a lot of this stuff, then yes, I would feel bad for them, because that's their hard ass work. That's the stuff that they, you know, try to make a living off of and stuff like that, right? I feel like there's more value with an actual artist putting belt to ass to pen and paper versus somebody typing up one word and that's just how it is. But I do know that there's another part of this conversation that we still do need to have, and it's one thing that I believe I brought up in that old video. I don't know what I said in that old video. I haven't really seen it since I made it. But when it comes down to it though, there is another part of that conversation that I do feel like we should definitely have, and that is, what if you just want to generate stuff for fun, right? Or what if you just want to, you know, generate stuff just because you could? And ultimately, at this point, especially with how people are now, it's probably not that big of a deal, right? Again, I would very much like to see more artwork by human hand than anything else. But at the very same time, I understand that one, AI is very much a tool that you can use to, you know, take the load off of some works that you draw. And hell, I use it sometimes for just trying to find a reference of a pose. Like sometimes I might find a picture of a character doing some really sexy pose and I'm like, dang, that looks nice, and then I'll just put it on one screen and then I'll take my actual pen and paper and draw it on a whole nother screen or on a piece of paper or whatever, and then try to, you know, draw the reference to the best to my ability. To me, that's the most, you know, that's the most I've ever done when it comes down to AI and just how to use it as a tool than, you know, just a quick gimme than anything else. But outside the very same time, I also realized that, you know, sometimes people will just generate shit just because they can, just for funsies, and I don't think there's a giant harm in that, right? As long as I feel like, as long as you're not making money off of it, I feel like that's whatever, right? And I just, how it is, and most people are basically going to be like that. Just generate shit just for funsies and just to see what will look like and all that sort of stuff, because they absolutely can, right? And then there's also that part of the conversation where there is some people that definitely just want to generate certain things for certain characters because it doesn't get a lot of art. That character doesn't get a lot of art or anything like that. And I'm gonna be absolutely realistic too, right? And this is kind of like the point of the video, or at least the reason why I'm making this video to a point, because I'm not gonna lie, AI is very much slop content. It is literally a landfill full of junky nonsense. And unfortunately, part of that junky nonsense is Konako content. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie, I unfortunately eat the junky Konako content. it just is what it is. The main thing of what I'm trying to say is essentially, it's just that, you know, sometimes you will get art that come through for certain characters that is just rare and in between and not necessarily gonna happen a lot. But with computers, you could definitely kind of do that now. Right, with AI, you could definitely kind of do that. Am I saying that I would prefer, you know, AI to come through and make an image of Konako shaking ass or something like that in some shape or form, letting that be the peak thing of all peak things? No, I would still very much like to see that be done by human hand, obviously. But I also come to a realization that you're not gonna really get a lot of people. Sometimes you're just not gonna get a lot of people that come through to draw one character and spam draw them like a lot of the dang time. That isn't just how that works. That's not gonna be the case, right? For like someone like, again, and this is stuff I realized like when I was earlier in the days of Jentai, and that is the times when there was literally bare bones no content for certain characters, and you wanted to see something only for people to A, not draw them, or B, no one really cares about them. And now that you have a solution where you can just make the things yourself by text and prompts, it's like, well, I'm here now, might as well see what I can cook up, and that's just how it is. And so to a point, I honestly do not sit here and blame anybody for doing something like that, right? Because it's, at the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, I highly doubt we'll ever get to see people just spam make content of just one character in particular that doesn't get anything at all. So why not make a lot of generated stuff? Granted, it's still slop at the end of the day. It's still cheap, uninspired, lazy ass work for sure. But at the end of the day, at least it's still existing in some way, right? Because I can't necessarily sit here and tell you how many times I was like, man, it'd be nice if some artists draw some Konako content every once in a while at least. But then there's just nothing there, right? Rarely is there anything when it comes to her character in particular. And so with AI kind of comes through, there's a lot of wild and ideas that people kind of use for her, right? Drop her in a maid outfit, put her in her regular, you know, school outfit, and then just make her do a lot of wild and stuff in that. You know, have her be mind controlled and mind broken and stuff like that. It just be the case. And all this other stuff. And it's just like, dang, I am not going to sit here and lie. Again, still would very much prefer human drawing ability, but I'm not going to lie, some of the generated stuff is kind of hot. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And that's just kind of how it is now, right? And again, I don't really 100% blame people for that. Basically, the whole thing of what I'm trying to get at is that I get it that when a character does not get a lot of artwork, you kind of want to just take matters into your own hands. And I get that part, because again, there's not sometimes anything on certain characters, right? Like, let's say Ataru from Kamikatsu. Does anybody remember her anymore? No, not really. And so if you decided to generate art, I can't personally get mad at you, right? Same way with literally, like, I don't know, like a Yuki Nagato, or maybe like a Miku from Edith and Deities, or like any other character that is hardly ever mentioned online ever to get any sort of artwork. Like, they barely get anything, and a lot of the time artists is either, you know, not really caring to draw that character, or, you know, you're not necessarily able to make that kind of happen and all that sort of ways. And ultimately, the last real option you got is to just generate the shit, right? So again, I very much get that sort of thing, right? Especially if you're just mainly making it for yourself and you just want to see what it looks like and all that sort of stuff, and you just having fun with the product of it, and that's just kind of how it is. And that's not, to me personally, it's not that big of a deal. I just find it a big deal when you try to sell it off as, yes, I made this, yes, this is art, and yes, this is just basically AI, and making money off of it in that sort of way. I kind of have a mixed feeling when it comes down to that, because it's not necessarily truly real talent, not real skill. And ultimately, yes, it will continue to happen and people will continue to do stuff like that, but still, that doesn't change my mind from how I feel about it. I still think it's lazy, I still think it's not the greatest thing in the world, and I still think it's a bit shit, if I'm being honest. But I do see the aspect of it where it's like, oh, I just want to have fun generating something, right? I want to have fun doing an aspect of it, and I can't, again, necessarily get too ultra mad about it, right? And I know this probably isn't what a lot of people want to hear, or some other people want to hear when it comes down to it, but at the same time, I get it, man. Like, hell, there's been times where I wanted to see content of a certain character and stuff like that too, and I'm like, it would be nice if we got, actual people to kind of draw it, but no one really does. And ultimately, sometimes people will just take matters into their own hands, and then they will just do AI generated stuff, and that's just how it is. And it's like, damn, the picture does come out really nice, it does look really good, but also at the same time I realize this is just AI work and it's not necessarily human ability. So there is very much that. It's not that difficult really of a situation to kind of feel and understand, probably more than I'm making it out to be, but it's just the point. I still very much value human power, human actual technique and skill by drawing an actual image than I would ever receive of a computer doing so. But that being said, I'm not gonna sit here and be too shocked or too mad or upset even at someone that basically wants to see a certain character get made more art, or at least get made more of an image of stuff, really, because do we really classify AI as art? I don't really know. That just, I personally kind of wouldn't. I wouldn't. But personally, I get it. Or at least that's just my viewpoint on it. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain. I don't know how to explain this really that much, right? Or at least in the greatest detail I feel like I am. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling. But me personally, I would very much love to, when money were to roll in, I would very much love to pay an actual artist to just draw, I don't know, whatever I would like them to do, versus just generate it, because it's just not fulfilling to me. For me personally, it's just not necessarily hitting on the level I would like to see it hit. Like, if I wanted to see straight up, like Jay absolutely in the deepest of cheeks of Konako, I want to see an artist go ham and do that, right? Versus a computer doing that, and it might get details wrong and stuff like that. And don't even get me started on animated stuff, because AI can't even do that very well either. AI can't even do it to the point that we usually see a lot of Jentai artists just straight up do, right? Like normal animations and such like that. They can't even do anything like that. They can't even generate anything like that. So ultimately, you still need artists for certain things and for certain stuff to kind of happen. So you can't just sit here and rely on AI all the damn time. It just is what it is. My point is just the fact that AI is basically here to stay. It's not necessarily the greatest thing of all time, right, in terms of what to deal with as an artist, but at the very same time, I get why people will use it. I get the whole point of where some usages of it can come in. The only difference is, though, when it comes down to the people versus you, is how much of you gonna let that kind of, I guess you accept that to whatever point you want to accept it. How much of it is fine with you and how much isn't fine with you, right? How much are you willing to kind of throw away to the computer versus how much you're willing to actually let a real artist kind of do the work? Because again, at the end of the day, I would very much rather see an artist do a lot of the stuff that I have plans for or ideas for, but realistically, not every single artist is going to want to draw the same thing. Not every single artist is going to feel the same way, and ultimately that's sometimes where AI will have to come in. Or if that's what you want to do and just make some slop content, that's fine, and I don't really think that's a terrible thing, or at least an overly shitty thing. The only time I feel like it's shitty is when it disrespects the artist in general, like stealing their style without their permission or something like that, and then at the very same time making money off of it. Because I don't, again, I don't feel like you should be rewarded for literally doing nothing. I don't feel like you should be rewarded at all for doing nothing. Literally, Mr. Beast did a whole damn AI thumbnail like thing and got called out for it, and now he's starting to hire, like, or at least put up real artists for hire or whatever, which is the thing he should have did in the first damn place, right? Because even something like thumbnails, you will hardly ever see me use, you know, AI for thumbnails, which I've used maybe like 2 or 3, but you will hardly ever see majority of the content, you know, being using AI thumbnails and stuff like that, because that's just not what I want to use. That's just not what, that's just lazy ass work. It genuinely just is. This video is an exception of it because, of course, we're talking about the damn subject, but again, I would rather just have an actual artist throw out some absolute ass sheets of Konako and then call it a day, versus just hella relying hard on computer for it. Yeah, I could spam it and make it more, you know, efficient to get more ass cheeks of her, but that doesn't necessarily defeats, you know, the purpose of an actual artist. I feel like an artist can still very much show me something I haven't thought an AI could do at all, and that's just the power of human ingenuity and that mind of how a human kind of works, right? Still to this day, would very much put an artist over AI any day of the week, but I also see that there is a common reason as to why people would want to use it though. But let me know, do you absolutely feel like this is the worst damn take I could possibly had on the subject? Do you don't mind AI? Do you absolutely despise it, or has your opinion changed of it in some shape or form? Let me know, because again, most of the industry of anime and stuff like that is very much leaning towards using it as a tool to kind of lessen the workload, for better or for worse. And it's not necessarily the greatest thing on the planet, but it's also not necessarily the worst thing on the planet from what I can definitely tell. Am I saying that it absolutely tops, again, regular humans doing stuff? No, but at the very same time, I do get the need or the use of it in some shape and form, right? So that's just how it is for me. Because again, I'm one of those people that was also pretty not necessarily happy when people just keep using other people's styles for AI and then just thinking that, oh, that's how it is, that's cooking, when it's absolutely not. It's cooking laziness and slothness, and that's something I don't very much like. And you could just let another artist kind of handle that, where they could cook absolutely goat status of meals. That's just how I feel. But again, that's all I really want to say for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.